It's a great question that you start with, Joel, but you sure do answer it, and you answer it passionately. Creativity for what? It's a creativity for discovery, and it's a creativity for understanding. And one's reminded of that great Carl Sagan quote that understanding is a kind of ecstasy. It's a great reflection on who we are as human beings and our need to learn. And it seems from both your talks that one of the ways in which we do learn is by taking the familiar and putting it in a new context, by putting things together that we don't expect to see together, and through that discovering something new. And that goes way back to Viktor Shklovsky, a Russian formalist right at the beginning of the 19th century, who wrote poetry exactly to do that. In fact, that was the entire purpose. You take something that is familiar to us that we don't see anymore, and you put it in a different context, and there is a new discovery, there is a way of seeing anew, there is an understanding that can only come from putting different things together in different kinds of ways. And it seems to me that your work has a dimension of that is really very significant in the bringing together of these seemingly disparate pieces of art on the one hand and science on the other, and yet when they're brought together, there is that kind of collision that opens up possibility and allows us to discover and maybe even reach that ecstatic understanding because we're bringing these unfamiliar dimensions together. I think that was true as well, Bill, in your conversation about what these new tools could be, because in a way, the way you talked about those tools, I think they were devices to be able to do that, to open up different possibilities and see us understanding things in a different way. It was evident, I think, in your comment about, the admonition you said. We have to be we have to be aware of the danger of our own bubble here as we sit in this room, all really of the same kind of point of view, and really reinforcing each other's sense of, yes, it's right, we've got to go do it, we've got to fight, right? And, Bob brought this up too, like, we have to talk to some other people, we have to talk to them genuinely, but we also need to be open to the kind of learning that can happen in a conversation when not all of us that hold that same stripe are together. And therefore, your work and the convening of conversation that you do, I think, is essential to what is going on here, and essential to the kind of learning we can, and essential to the kind of way in which this can become productive. The notion of participation, I love as well, where this is certainly true in my world of education too, where in higher education specifically, obviously in K-12 education too, where the whole sage on the stage, where the audience performer, where the teacher-student relationship is all being thrown in a different kind of relationship. Again, a defamiliarization, a way to think about relationship in a new kind of way. And that notion of participation and where the performance is and where the audience is and how the spectator and the perceiver and the thing perceived interacts, and how we begin to think about it again gets tossed on his head. And so much of what we're trying to do here, I think, gets changed, and our understanding gets changed, and the discovery happens as a result of that. I would say, certainly implied in your statement, Joel, is that radical connectivity and infinite data, which as you can imagine, Art Center is spinning with that all day long, notions of hybridization. All of that, as exciting as it is, needs designers. It needs artists, because those designers and artists are going to be the interpreters of what that is, so human beings can begin to grapple with it and understand it. And there is just going to be noise at the other side until we have the creative imagination, the design that's going to be able to link us to what that is and give us a sense of how to understand it. The music is just, for me, music on a page if it's sheet music until a musician plays it. And we need that. I need that musician to bring it to me, and we need these designers to be there and present and be creative in the interaction that you're talking about. Finally, I'll just say that we've typically, in Western tradition anyway, looked to our artists and poets to give us ways to grapple with the mysteries of the world and of the universe. And what a delight and how exciting it is that we live in a time where scientists and technologists and mathematicians maybe especially are participating in that conversation. We're not just looking at the mathematician to explain, we're getting a kind of sense of the poetics of math itself and what that is as we grapple with what this universe is and how we can understand it. And there, too, is a wonderful way in which that kind of creative imagination through science and technology and math is integrating so beautifully with what we have looked to the poets to tell us, and hopefully we will continue to do. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.